show going. So joining me in the guest room, the former editor of Vibe magazine, friend of the show, was one of the first people to jump on at 8 in the morning on the Sunday morning on WLUW when I was over there, and I brought some great insight. It's a pleasure to have him back, William Ketchup III. How are you doing, sir?
I am fantastic, man. What about
Good,
you?
man. It's election night, so I'm just sucked into the entire process. I want to see what happens tonight. I'm sure it's going to be a delay, but I'm prepared to go to 3, 4 in the morning tonight to see what happens. I got to see the conclusion of the American Nightmare.
Now, see, for me, complete opposite. I'm basically avoiding like most coverage tonight. I'm gonna wait for the notification to hit my phone, and that's that, man. You know, like like I voted over the weekend, so you know the rest is in
Yep.
the country's hands, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. Last time I went to bed before finding out, and then I just woke up to what I thought I went to bed knowing, but then it was confirmed, and then the rest of the day was just trash.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that I wake up tomorrow in a better spirit. We'll see what happens, but I'm glad you're here joining us, man. First of all, I just want to just salute you and congratulations on your health, and I'm glad you're doing so well, man. I know this year has been super, just a reinvention of yourself, and it's super inspiring. I'm so happy to follow your growth and your progress and how you're discussing and talking about it. So it's just super inspiring for a person like myself who's analyzing my own health, my own mental and physical health. So I just want to salute you on that, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah. All right. To the business at hand. Okay, so Busta Rhymes, I think it was like a week or two ago. I can't remember because God knows how the days are now just flowing into each other now that we hit winter. Busta Rhymes, I was on Instagram. He like leans into the camera and then starts playing this audio clip of ODB's voice in the background. Yeah. And he just was like nodding his head. And it's kind of like you're just waiting for it to just the track to just spill out. And then when it hits, you're like, oh my God, sounds amazing. And then of course, then we get the record last Friday. And I think to everyone's satisfaction and surprise, Busta Rhymes delivers on Extinction Level Event 2. I think there's a few people who are like, it's really good. But just to do some contrast, Back on My BS, I think the last studio album he put out wasn't very good at all. And and I think the last really satisfying album was The Big Bang back in 2006. And I think that was 14 years ago. So I didn't really think that Busta Rhymes had it in him to deliver a quality album. But here we are talking about it. I am just thoroughly excited. I love listening. I've been through it 3 times already. It's a long album, but there's a very few skippable moments, but there's a lot to enjoy. What was your? I wanted to start at the beginning, at the top with the intro. After we kind of skip back into the spoken word piece, but then when we get into Busta and Rakim sharing bars, that to me was just goosebump worthy. What was your feeling after kind of getting through that part of it?
Man, the intro was nuts. Busta, for one, first of all, the setting of an Extinction Level event this year just feels a lot different. You know what I mean? Like, like people release these like apocalyptic themed works all the time, but it hits different when it actually feels like the world is ending.
Right.
You know what I mean? So hearing that intro felt a lot more ominous in times like this. And then when you Busta I was really struck by how good his voice sounded. I feel like, a lot of a lot of rappers who have been around for that long, I think that we underestimate just how valuable a tool of a rapper's voice is. And I think that he sounds really, really good. And for him to get Rakim on the first, on the intro spitting mad is crazy. That shit
That
is
was
dope.
another thing too. I don't remember. I hated the Seventh Seal from Rakim. It was such a not a very good album, and so I think that's like the last time we've heard him on a few things like just here and there. But to hear him like kind of like it felt like he was right in pocket, and he was like talking about like the health of the earth. And I was like, "Yo,
Yeah,
this is crazy! I love this."
yeah, like it's the type of verse that you would want to hear from Rakim.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so I know that like I don't know how I felt, and I still don't know how I feel about it, which is probably a good thing. Like Chris Rock kind of like facilitating the album and like just kind of like boasting about like how big Busta Rhymes is and
yeah.
was, and just like how fortunate we are to have an album like this. It just kind of like gives it that extra strength that it didn't really need, but you're glad that it's there. And like Chris Rock, he's been like featured on like Ice Cube's album, Ludacris's album, and Rick Ross's album, sort of playing that
Kanye
same
too.
role. Yeah, playing that
Well,
same role, and now this feels different though.
yeah, I think it's sort of weird in the sense that to me it really feels like it makes sense here because Busta. I think Busta doesn't always get his. I mean, get his proper respect. I feel like Busta is often slept on, even though he checks like just about every check that we can expect from a hip hop Hall of Famer.
Right.
And to have someone like Chris Rock being almost like an advocate for how great he really fucking is, I love that. You know. And I mean, granted, Chris Rock is also my like GOAT comedian, so I may be a little biased there.
Mm.
But I mean, I I basically feel like I felt as hype as like Chris Rock sounded while listening to the album.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. I like it. Just he just like every part, like every time he just sort of just chimed in.
yeah,
Like hey, no one's following up Buster.
yeah.
Oh yeah, he definitely added like a different like dynamic to an already strong album. This follows up the first one that came out 22 years and December 1998. That had like the "Give Me Some More" and then the Janet Jackson feature. What's it gonna be? So those were like huge singles, especially
Hmm.
Janet Jackson. That was just like a monumental, like once in a career type song that just blew up with the video and the song he hitting commercial success. But the what I loved about this was just the production. So I read in Vulture over the weekend that the interview that he did, he talked about like after that intro where we're talking about Rakim and Buster on the intro, that music was from 22 years ago. He sat on a Knots beat for 22 years just to make sure that the music that you hear in 1998 on the first album sonically matches what we're getting introduced into this second wave. That's crazy to me. To
And that's
sit on a record for
dedication.
22 years.
Yeah, that's dedication, man. Also, shout out to the guy Craig Jenkins. He did
Yeah,
that interview for Vulture. Craig is incredible. But nah, man. I mean, one thing I really loved about this album is that he he stuck to what like he stuck to his crew in terms of producers. Not Rockwilder, Dilla, even though like it was a Dilla beat that was already out. Uh, I'm forgetting who else, but he always keeps like the same like 4 to 5 producers on
Swiss
every
was on it.
album.
Swiss makes a high tech is on there. Yeah,
Yeah, so I think it says a lot that he could get those producers and that they like still sound good. They still sound good to me.
yeah,
I mean like it's boom bap, but it doesn't sound so. I mean like it's boom bap, but it still sounds fresh, and
absolutely.
it sounds fresh in part because Busta makes it sound fresh.
Yeah, absolutely. And Busta Rhymes was out there in front of the Apollo Theater today performing.
Yeah,
It's
so
just like
yeah,
it's like a group no bigger than the LSC, like 10 people, and he's just out there working. And like I was like, that guy's amazing. Like at any point you just
look,
catch Busta Rhymes in the street performing songs. Like this guy's having like one of the best weeks of his career, and he's just out there casually doing performances on election day. That's fantastic.
and tell you what, like many people who have seen him will tell you that Busta is the best live performer in rap. Period.
Yeah,
He is incredible live. The energy, the breath control. Yeah, he's incredible, man.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that goes back to what you were mentioning as far as like him checking off all the boxes, like albums, complete albums, number of number one hits. Could rhyme just on about on anything. We see him kind of like switching up his flow and doing a lot of different things with his voice on this album, which makes it really interesting to just listen to and just kind of like study and expect that. And
Yeah,
I thought that
and
I thought
then
that, oh, good.
I was gonna say, as far as his career, he also has quite possibly the best run of guest features in rap history.
Absolutely.
You know, like
Yeah.
he's rapped with like just about all of the greats, from Eminem to Jay-Z to DMX. Like he's rapped with all these guys, and he's like hung with them.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and I was gonna. That's what I was gonna segue into the features on this album. Rap City, Anderson .Paak, Rick Ross, Mariah Carey's featured on this as well. So he had some like very notable heavy hitters that participate in this record, and I kind of feel like everyone plays the role that they were given. Like no one really
Hmm.
like, kind of like shines or does anything that's like different than what he was probably asking for. Everything kind of stays within the theme of the record, and so that's like another tip of the hat. And you know, he said like in that Vulture, like he's been working on this for like 11 years. This record, and like Ninth Wonder came out. Like he kind of reposted something he put out 2 years ago. It's like, yo, this ELE 2 album's crazy. And so you kind
Yeah.
of you hear the patience in this record of how well it was being designed and how it was executed.
Yeah. So when I started at Vibe in 2018, well, when I worked, I don't want to say right when I started, but like there were already people telling me how great the album was back then. And like and I'm sure that he's done changes since then, but I was even hearing back then about how amazing the album was.
Yeah.
So the fact that he was willing to sit on it, probably like tinker with it a little bit more, and to drop it now at a time that makes so much sense. I love it.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah. I loved hearing the minister speak on this. It's like that. His interlude is phenomenal.
Farrakhan might be my favorite guest on the album.
This is true. This is
I mean, just
absolutely true.
like it's. I'm not positive, but I believe he recorded that just for the album. Like I don't think that was a clip
It
of
felt
the
like
first
it.
thing that he said. And that's the type of thing that would like terrify a racist to hear. you know, like I'm hearing that. I'm hearing that skit, and I'm like, man, like imagine being a racist white person hearing this. Yeah, man, it blew me away. It blew me away, man. And Busta, like I feel like everybody on the album, including Farrakhan in that sense, everyone on the album seemed to recognize who they were working with. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? Like, I don't think anyone. I mean, like, you could tell when there's a feature that's just doing it to return a favor. You know what I mean? But they all sound like excited to be there.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a well executed album. It's refreshing. I kind of like par it up with what Raekwon did with the sequel to Only Built. It kind of feels like a great complimentary album to the original,
Hmm.
where it's not. I don't think it overshadows the original, but it's on par or it feels like it deserves to be next to it. And
Yeah,
it's so I think that if that was the mission, he definitely achieved that. And where I don't love hour-long albums at all, and this one goes about 1 hour 18 minutes, I think. I'm okay with that, just because of
yeah,
how much he gives us, but how much enjoyable it's to listen to, which is the rarity now.
yeah. Like, I mean, like I might have cut like 2 or 3 songs, but
True.
it's not like any of the songs on the album are bad. You know what I mean? And
Fact.
generally speaking, if a rapper hasn't released an album in like 9 years or however long it has been since his last one, I'm not gonna really trip if it's a little long.
No, it's 11 years in the making. You deserve that hour 20.
Yeah, exactly.
What was that hour and a half,
Exactly.
90 minutes?
Yeah.
It's cool.
And yeah,
Well,
like I mean, like in terms of sequels, man. I mean, like I put like the Chronic, 2001 first, Cuban Links 2, but this is up there.
Yeah.
up there in terms of rap sequels.
Yeah, I got a little pushback when I suggested that this may have the best hip hop album of the year, and I know there's a lot of strong contenders, and like Griselda is having an amazing year, Boldy James is having an amazing year. There's a lot of people out there really killing it this year, and but I think that the great part about releasing an album at the end of the year is that that's what
Like
people
it's fresh on your
remember.
mind. Yeah. Well, you know what though? I think it works both ways because I think that if it drops at the end of the year, then the album is like fresh on your mind. But if you drop an album earlier in the year and it really like sticks with you,
Right.
I mean that works. That works in an album's favor as well.
Yeah.
Like I mean, like as an example, Freddie Gibbs dropped his album this year. Freddie Gibbs, an Alchemist. And if if you're bumping that all year, then it's going to feel like your album of the year because you've been bumping it all year.
Yeah.
You know,
there's a additional consideration for as long that it's been lasting and that you've been going back to it. So yeah,
exactly.
I also weigh that when I'm doing my end of the year list for Vocalo. That I was like, did I go back to this more than once or twice? Like where's the replay value? Mm-hmm. Replay value means a lot to me. So you're absolutely right that Freddie Gibbs is going to be in the top 10 somewhere. I'm pretty sure. I'm just not sure where it's going to align because we still don't know what the end of the year is going to look like. There's still a couple months, and the way that artists unexpectedly drop albums at any given moment, who knows what we might see. So, well, I'm so glad you made time with us, Will, man. It's good to see you. I'd love to have you back, and maybe we could do an end of the year chop up and run down our albums and have some more time to talk about that.
I bet. I'm just giving you a shout, man.
All right, will do, man. Tell people where they can follow you, and I know you got a website with some of your most recent work. Tell people where they can check you out at.
For sure, you can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, or IG at WEKETCHUM. So at WE Ketchum. I'm going to be that on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and you can read my work at weketchum.contently.com. CONTENTLY.com.
Fantastic, man. Thank you so much again for joining us, man. Enjoy the rest of your election night, however you decide to spend it. Either way, we'll see how tomorrow works out. All right, enjoy the rest of your night. Thanks.
Take it easy. Peace.
All right, that was William Ketchup, the former editor at Vibe, joining us, man. He's such a great person to talk to about music and him being on here with us. So we appreciate that. Coming up.